Let's get started on Lab 4. In this lab, you'll use the bones to move your character into different poses. You'll use those poses to create an animation of your character walking. The goals for the lesson are to move the creature's armature to create poses, insert keyframes at each new pose to capture the creature's location and rotation in 3D space, copy and paste keyframes into later frames to reuse earlier poses. Pose. A pose is a position that the model is in. You'll use the armature to move your model into different poses. Then you'll use those poses to animate the character. In Blender, you'll use pose mode to move a model's bones into different positions. Pose mode will only appear when you have an armature selected. You'll use pose mode when you want to create different poses. This is the first step in animating your model. Fix paste flipped pose mode. Even though it looks fine, there's a good chance that the bones in your creature's armature are rotated. You'll check and fix that now so it won't cause problems later. First of all, you've got to switch from edit mode into object mode. And if you were like me, you were in solid mode, and you've got to switch to wireframe mode to make it look like this. And you're going to right click on your armature to select it. Now we're going to check to see if your bones are rotated by holding down the Alt button and clicking R for rotate. Go ahead and try that now. And if it rotates at all like this, that means that you're going to need to reset your rotation values to 0. They're at 0 right now. So go ahead and hit Control Z if that's you. If you didn't have a problem, you're fine. You don't need to do anything. But if you did have a problem, hit Control Z right now. And you'll notice that your rotation values are not set to 0. There's a really quick and easy way to do that. You're going to hold down Control and click A. So that, when you start having weird issues like that, that is your sign, the sign to save. So let me go ahead and save this. So we are in Project 4, Lab 4, and I'm going to click Save as a Blender file. And hopefully this little guy will start cooperating with me a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm going to hit Control A, and there we go. There's my apply the object's transformation to its data box, and I want to click rotation and scale. And when I do that, notice the values on the right for rotation are going to reset to 0. Very cool. Now, if you tried to hit Alt plus R, you wouldn't have any rotation of your object. Keyframe. Earlier in this course, you learned that an animation is made up of many still images called frames. One animation might use 50, 100, or even 1,000 frames. But instead of creating all of those frames individually, you can use keyframes. Keyframes are special still images that let Blender fill in the frames between them automatically. You'll use keyframes to create an animation of your model. To make keyframes, we're going to go ahead and switch from object mode to pose mode. Next, click on your 3D manipulator rotation button and make sure that down here your current keyframe is set to 1. Use the arrows to get it back to 1 if you need to. Press the A key to select all of your bones. Now you're just going to press the I key as an insert keyframe menu, and you'll select Girot. Girot is a type of keyframe that captures the specific location and rotation of an object. You'll use this when you want to capture your creature's pose in 3D space. All right, so next we're going to be posing our character and inserting another keyframe. So let's change our current keyframe to 11, just using the arrows down at the bottom. So we're going to rotate the right shin bone or right lower leg. So right click on it to select it. And I'm going to hit Control and 3. If you remember, that is how you can look at the right side. And my computer is acting wonky again. So I'm going to click Save. And now that I'm looking at the right side, I can just go ahead and grab this and rotate the bone. Okay, and when you rotate that, your leg should look like this. I think in my previous screen, I might have hit Control Z too many times, and I don't think I had skinned my bone. So I went back and reopened an older version that I saved. I just went back and opened up my Lab 3, and now it's working just fine. Isn't that fun? So remember, that is one of the reasons why I'm always telling you to save things separately, because you can go back, if you make a mistake, you can go back and get back to your previous version. And now I'm going to hit 7 to get back into top view. And this time we're selecting the thigh bone, and we're gonna lift that up off of the ground. So I like to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna hit Control 3, flip to the side mode, and rotate this so the foot comes up off the ground. Oh, look at that. We're about to go for a walk. I'm gonna hit 7 and come back to top view. And then I'm going to hit the A key so that all of the bones are selected. And then just like we did before, you're going to click I for insert keyframe and click Girot, and that is going to go ahead and just basically save this position, this pose, to frame 11. Let's strike a new pose and insert another keyframe. Let's start by making our next keyframe at slide 21, frame 21. We're going to rotate the left shin backwards. So to see the left side, I'm going to press 3 and rotate that one backward. And I'm going to select, let's see if I can get that. There we go. I'm going to rotate that one backward. Look at that. Woohoo! Skipping along. Now we're going to have to, I'm just going to go back to 7 top view and hit the A button to select all of our armature. And just like we did before, click I for insert keyframe menu and Girot, which is going to save that location and rotation pose position to frame 21. And now we can copy the entire pose from frame 1 to frame 31. By copying and pasting earlier poses, you can reuse a pose that you've already created. Start by returning to frame 1. And now look at this. We have a pose menu. Click on that, and we are looking for copy pose. And you'll notice it says right here, copied pose to buffer. And let's go ahead and go back up to frame 31. Can you guess what we're gonna do? What do you think we're gonna do? That's right, we're going back into the pose menu, and we're not going to paste the pose. We're going to click paste X flipped pose. Press the A key to select all of your bones. And then, of course, you're going to hit I, and you are going to insert Girot. There we go. Saved that pose to frame 31. Next, we're going to copy the pose from frame 11 to frame 41. So let's go back to frame 11. All right. And yep, you guessed it. We're going to click the pose menu and copy that pose. And then we're going back up to 41. And just like before, click your pose menu, paste, X flipped pose. Excellent. Make sure you press A to select all of your bones. Click I and insert Girot. And next, let's copy pose 21 to frame 51. So you guessed it. We're going back to frame 21. Pose, copy, go up to frame 51. Pose, paste X flipped pose. Click A to select all. I, Girot. And now let's just check and see how our animation looks. Find a pose in space that you like. Oops, and hit Alt-A, and it's going to go ahead and start playing it for you. Right now you can see, there it goes. How's that looking? I don't think mine looks that great. But here it comes around again. I guess it's okay. It doesn't exactly look like he's walking to me, but oh well. You could perfect that later. And that completes Lab 4. In this lab, you moved the creature's armature to create poses. You inserted keyframes at each new pose to capture the creature's location and rotation in 3D space, and copy and pasted keyframes into later frames to reuse earlier poses. Good job!